All right, folks. So in the last video, we discussed about the structure of table and the primary key. In this particular video, we'll straight away write some SQL code, and we'll discuss about some basic SQL clauses. Okay. So you can get this page by just clicking on Ask a Question, and then you can go to Native Query. Here you can start writing your SQL code. Now, as you see this sample data set, this is my database name. Okay, I just have one database, so there's no drop down option. If however you had multiple database, which obviously you will have, then you can choose which database you want to query. Okay, fair enough. Now so there are some basic commands in SQL. Let's just start with the most important one, which is select. Okay, now before just talking about select, or rather let's discuss this clause itself. SQL language is very simple to read actually and to interpret. It's like you're reading a basic English sentence. Okay, now select basically means you're asking SQL, okay SQL, can you select me the can you select these columns from this particular table? Okay, now SQL asks, okay, I will do that, can you tell me which columns to select? I'll say fair enough. So there are two options. Either you can select all the columns, or you can select only selected columns. For now, let's just select all the columns. So if you want to select all the columns, there's this you write asterisk. Now it says select all the columns. SQL said, all right, I'll select all the columns, but can you tell me from which table? You'll say, sure, why not? From, let's query people table. So this particular sentence means, I'll just write it in a plain English. Mr. SQL, can you select all the columns from the people table? This is what you've written in plain English. Okay, so this is what SQL will reply. Now SQL has given you all the columns in the people's table, as you can see here. But for example, let's suppose you just want specific columns. Okay, let's just assume that your marketing team is sending an email marketing campaign to all your customers, so they only want the email address. So what you'll say, okay SQL, you've given me all the columns, but for now I just need an email column. SQL say, okay, fair enough. So what you'll do is you'll write, okay, just email, and then you'll execute. So SQL has given you just email address column. Okay, understood? All right, let's just go more detail into this. All right, so now this is what it is written. So you have said, okay SQL, can you just give me all the columns from the people's table? SQL has given you all the columns from the people's table. So this is how select and from clause work. So in plain English, select the columns that you want to retrieve from the tables that you want to query. Straightforward question. But for example, let's suppose now you wanted, take an example. Now just check this table. It has ID, it has address, it has email, password, name, city, longitude, state, and source. Source is basically, I could understand from the source is probably how the customers have signed up. Okay. Now suppose you only wanted the source of customers through Facebook. You said, okay SQL, give me all the columns, but only give me those customers who have signed up through Facebook. SQL will say, okay, fair enough. So what you'll do is you'll write where the column name is source. You'll say source equals, and you'll write in single string because it's you'll write in single because it's a string, and we all know how string is written. If you write phase, if you'll just write like this, SQL will throw up an error. Let's see, it has given error because he's saying column Facebook not found. So you'll have to put it in single quotes. This is how we write strings in almost all the programming languages. So let's just try to understand this particular command. You can select all the columns from people table where source is equal to Facebook, and see what you get. So you've got all the columns where source is only Facebook. So you've only got Facebook. Let's just assume now you want Facebook and Twitter as well. So you cannot write Facebook Now there are obviously two ways to do that. So let's just query understand this equals to sign. Now there are two ways you can write equals to. You can write equal to or you can write in. When you write in, this is how you write. As you see, now you have Facebook and Twitter. So the difference between in and equal to is used when you're equating it to one specific value. In is used when you give it a group and you said, okay, fetch me those values that are part of this group. Okay, so whenever there's more than one value that you want to equate to, you'll use in. When there's just one value that you want to compare it to, you'll use equal to. Okay, you can also use in if you want to compare just one value. It's not wrong. You'll still get the answer, but it's advisable to use equal to when you're just comparing with one single value. When you're comparing with the multiple values, you use in. Okay, so let's just write Twitter again. So you're saying to SQL, Mr. SQL, can you select all the columns from the people table where source lies between Facebook and Twitter? And we'll give you the answer. Okay. So this is how select, from, and where clause works. One important thing that you should realize is the order of these commands. Now, if you will just, for example, write where first after from, SQL will shout at you. Right. So the sequence matters, right? You cannot just randomly start writing. Select and from will always come first, then will come where. So the command, the sequence is extremely important for SQL to make sense from your query. I mean, obviously, how would you read that English? Okay. In English, it could be very easy, like you'll saying select all the columns where source is Facebook in from this table. In English, it does make sense, but for SQL, it doesn't make any sense, right? So which is why this order is extremely important. You cannot mess with the order. Okay. So this is how you use select, from, and where commands. All right. In next video, we'll see further commands. We'll try to understand and, or, and distinct commands. I hope you like this video. See you in the next video.